Okay, so percent error basically tells us how accurate our answer is, or the accuracy of what we got in lab. Basically, we need two values. We need our accepted value and our experimental. So accepted sometimes is also called our theoretical value. And this is the real, like what it should be value. So this is our kind of definition is the number agreed on by the scientific community or the calculated number in a lab experiment. So this is what your answer should be, what you should have gotten. And then the experimental or actual value is the number measured during a lab experiment. So the accepted is what you should have gotten, and then the experimental is what you actually got. And basically our percent error is found by using this formula right there. So percent error is equal to the absolute value of experimental minus accepted divided by accepted times 100. Guys, since this is an absolute value, it doesn't really matter if you put accepted or experimental first, because you're always going to flip that sign and make it positive. So even if you get a negative answer, your final answer should be positive. All right, so let's do our first one. So our first thing says there are 34 questions on a test. John only answers 22 of them correctly. What is his percent error? Okay, guys, so the accepted value, or what he should have gotten, is 34. So that is our accepted right here. He only answered 22 of them correctly. So 22 is going to be our experimental. All right, so now we want to know what our percent error is. So we have our experimental 22, absolute value right there of our experimental 22 minus our accepted 34 all over our accepted value 34 times 100. Now guys, this is a percent, and so with percentages we don't really use sig figs, so always just round to 2 decimal places. So go ahead and plug that into your calculator. So 22 minus 34 divided by 34 times 100, and we end up with 35.29%. Okay, next we have one that says the label of a rope is 2.15 feet long. John measures the rope as 1.85. What is the percent error? So our label on our rope would be our accepted true value. And then John measured it, so that's our experimental. He measured it as 1.85. Okay. So then again, we have our experimental, which is the absolute value of our experimental 1.85 minus our accepted value, which is 2.15, all over our accepted value, which is again 2.15 times 100. Again, it's I don't know why I can't talk tonight, guys. It's the absolute value, so even if you get a negative number, flip it and make it positive, because it's just distance from 0. So plug it into your calculator, and once again, we're going to measure to 2 sig figs. And I got 13.95%. And finally, last but not least, Mrs. Treese estimates the weight of her kitten to be 3.45 pounds. She actually weighs 4.76 pounds. What is her percent error? So this was my estimation, 3.45. It's how much she actually weighs. So that's my estimation. So that's our experimental. She actually weighs that. So that is our accepted value. And we want to know my percent error. So once again, it is experimental. So 3.45 minus 4.76 all over our accepted value, which is 4.76 times 100. So once again, plug it into your calculator and you should get 27.52%. Guys, this formula is on our periodic table or our formula charts. It's not something you have to memorize, but just definitely make sure you know the difference between accepted and experimental. All right. Feel free, as always, to email us if you have any questions or concerns over this video. Bye, guys.